What's happening, people, and welcome back to the Ram with Dad podcast. Today, I am joined by my good mate, BreezyChats. What's happening, brother? How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. This will be my first time not doing it for someone else, so this is going to be a bit strange for me, I
think. You'll get used to it, bro. The more people invite you on, the more you're the person getting questioned and not doing the questioning. It's a bit strange, but you get used to it after a little while. So, obviously, well, even mentioning that, so yeah. First time we ever done anything like this, you brought me on to Against the Fence podcast, which you are now the host of, and you are absolutely killing it, smashing out the interviews. And you know what I mean, you just dropped one today as well, haven't you? A young MMA IF.
Yeah, Amy Scully. So she's the first two-time female IMAF world champion. Yeah. She's from Ireland, trains at SPG with Coach Cavan and like around Johnny Walker and Connor and all that. And yeah, she just won her second title. So yeah, really impressive girl. Really impressive.
Yeah. It's crazy when you see the talent that's coming up, especially when you see them at such a young age and they're coming through. I mean, Mohammed Makayev, so many good people come through the IMAFs. It was unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, it's a mouthful to say, but so many good people come through there.
Yeah, I stumbled a few times saying it as well. And the other thing for her as well is she's really young and she's amassed like 20,000 plus followers on Instagram, and she does her own content. So not only was she out there fighting, she was also doing all the clips, putting the clips together, putting the content out like day by day as well.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was like, fair play. That's commitment.
That's impressive. That is impressive. Yeah, I mean, I think you've probably learned in the recent weeks and how much actually goes into this and all the crap in the background of editing and everything else. I mean, obviously you've done work before with Against the Fence, but now being the host of the podcast and trying to get all of that put together, it's insane when you actually see the amount that go into it.
Yeah, and not to jump too far ahead, but we had one day, and I had to apologize to Silas because I went over there with Si, and we were waiting for the weigh-ins. And I was like super stressed, tensed, like just, and my kind of cope for that is like kind of going into my head and just thinking and just like being within myself. And he was like, can you film some behind the scenes? And I was just there like, it's the last thing I want to be doing like right now.
I've got to, I mean, if you just invited me here to do that, then cool, but I've got so much going on.
Yeah. So yeah, it's intense. And the fact that she had a fight coming up and she was still doing it, I was just there like, wow.
Crazy. Young guns. Yeah. I mean, that's all that is. Young guns. We're too old and got too much going on and the brain doesn't work at that same pace anymore. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Mate. So as you mentioned there, obviously you went over to Dubai and like all of a sudden had a fight that came out of absolutely nowhere, but we'll get onto that into a minute. What I wanted to just quickly catch up with you about is how are you finding the podcast, bro? How you finding doing this? How are you finding setting up the interviews and how's everything going for you in that sense?
It's a good one that it's time consuming. The recording the podcast, absolutely fine. The kind of after bits like editing, we've done a few of them where we've kind of gone on the road. So we did one with Casual's Corner. I did it in a kitchen. I've shot one with Angus Jenkins, who's our editor, and also the matchmaker for Crypto Fight Night. And we did like a Hot One style, which has been edited at the minute. And I think I had a bit of a learning curve where I kind of settled that if I want to do a podcast, it's got to be similar to this. You can do this in person, but trying to do all the extra stuff, it takes a hell of a lot. So I think I've kind of separated those as two separate things. But I think the thing I've found the most difficult so far has to be getting the consistency of guests coming onto the show. Because the way that we do it, or I do it, is I don't talk about the fights. I'd like to kind of get to know people within the industry more and kind of deep dive into them. So I need constantly to be booking people, and that can be really difficult because like I'm not going to name any names, but there's been some people which have agreed to it, and then like 2 months down the line still not got a date, and it's like and you got to try and persevere, but I'm just waiting for them to give me a date and then go. But people are busy, man. People are busy.
That's it. I mean, if you recall back to the conversation that we had about it, that's what I said to you. I said, try not to fall into the hamster wheel of content where you're constantly running and trying to get somebody. Try and have people lined up for an interview, but at the same time, they've all got lives too. They've all got families as well as the training, as well as fights coming up, as well as whatever's going on, else is going on in the life. You know what I mean? And it's not as plain and simple. I mean, even me and you tonight, can we push this back half an hour? Yeah, I mean, just because of kids, like family reasons, you know what I mean, daddy duties and all the rest of it. Like, but
Yeah.
everything plays its part, and it's not always super easy. And like I say, sometimes you book a date with someone and, oh, can we rebook it? Cool. It goes and moves to another date, then you move it to another date, then you move it to you end up doing it 3 or 4 times, and you're just like pulling your hair out, and it could be on either side, like, you know what I mean? And it's not yours or the person's fault. It is what it is. You know what I mean? It's just the way that it goes. So
yeah,
I'm glad you're experiencing the same as what the rest of us does, and it's not a smooth sailing, to be honest.
No,
I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just funny because we all go through it. It's just literally the rings of doing this stuff.
Yeah, and I really, really wanted to try and get ahead, and I got ahead. But what I found when I got ahead is that I was then recording with people, and they're not releasing something for like a month and a half.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's fine to do, but it just feels a bit strange when you're recording with someone and then you follow up with, look, it's not going to be out till like mid of Jan. And they might have something that's time sensitive as to why they've done the recording. And you can shuffle it around, but there's been a few where I was so far ahead that I stopped, and then they were coming out, and then I got behind, and then there was like 2 weeks where nothing came out. We were doing a bit of editing or some stuff because we've done stuff in person, and then it was just the first like 3 months of this has just been like a massive learning experience to kind of understand what works for me, what do I enjoy, what do I want to continue doing, what do I want, and it all comes together.
It's also just the flow in the conversation as well, of actually learning when to ask the question, what question to ask, and when to ask it. And again, if you recall, like one of my learning curves was I was asking people questions because I had my set list of this is what I want to talk to them about, and they would talk about question number 10 when I'm at number 2, and I would just ignore it and go to number 3, and it's like, just go and follow with that. And then it's just learning how to have that rhythm and the dance really, and going along with it, and but
I've got to say thank you for that as well, because I think when I sat down with you, that was the second one I ever recorded, and I had a script in the background, and I was trying to follow a script, and it was coming to questions later on, and I was like, we've already kind of answered that. And I've had it a few times where I still do a deep dive into people, try and find something unique, something that I feel like they might not have spoken about before, but they've got to be very different things for that to work very well. And then you can roll into some more generic stuff. But I've cut down on having so much scripted. I've removed I'll do like everyone's different. I mean, I did one with an author for Cage Kings, Michael Thompson. I had like 10 questions written out. I think I only asked 4, and it was still like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then other people like Amy, lovely girl, but she doesn't go as deep into stuff. So I had 10, 15 questions, and I asked every single one. It was about half an hour.
Yeah.
So it's good to have it there in case you want to fall back on something. But it's it's just you can never really prepare properly, and that's something that I was speaking to. So yesterday I recorded one with John Gooden.
Yeah.
And he's in the process at the moment of putting together like an online course style thing for basically how to do your research and then put together like a story, because that's my next thing is I kind of want to work on building a story and an agenda. What I really like about him is he did the kind of behind the scenes stuff with, like, he went wrestling with Kamzat Chimaev. He's just gone to record in Wales with Oban Elliott. And he does that kind of Louis Theroux style in person. And I really like that. And I'd love to do that myself one day. So when I was talking to him, and it was off the cuff, I went off the script, and it just felt right to ask it. And he was like really, really nice about the fact that like he's done it and now he wants to help other people. So stay tuned. He said early next year that's going to be out, so I'm looking forward to that.
I'll be making sure I listen to that, and also make sure that I have a little look at that too, because that sounds quite interesting. I have big respect to John Gooden there, and shout out and mad respect for getting that interview, brother. Well done. He's a wicked guy. I've seen a few people that have interviewed him as well. Like, I always enjoy watching him be interviewed, as well as the content that he's putting out himself. The man trains too, so I think that helps him as well when he goes and does these interviews where he's live. I mean, he'll have a training session with them, and then he'll jump in and actually just interview them after it or whatever. And it's a cool way of doing the content. It's a bit different. It's not what everyone's doing this. You know what I mean? So it's out there. You know what I mean? It's completely different. So
I mean, who wouldn't want to roll with Kamzat Chimaev, eh?
I know, yeah. Like, who wants to get smashed by that guy and then asking some questions afterwards? So he's actually an electrician. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm pretty sure that's what John Gooden is outside of doing all of this? The man's an electrician.
Yeah, so his family business was an electrician based business, and I found that he identified, I can't remember what it is now. I had to Google it because I didn't know what it was, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, let me have a look at that. But it's basically like a renewable energy source, and he drove
Right.
the business in kind of a new direction, the family business, and then left that to pursue what he does now. But yeah, I was like, what the hell is that? Like,
Uh-huh. That's mad. I couldn't even think about what that would be right now either. You know what I mean? Like how people can come up with things like that of renewable energies and all the rest of it, and just shows you there's some people that think in a completely different way that's outside the box of everybody else. Yeah, I mean, it's wild, like wild.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
now, great guy, great guest.
yeah, loved it. Yeah, really, really good.
Wicked. Right, so it sounds like you're finding your feet anyway, mate. It sounds like you're really coming into your own with that one. So hats off, keep
Hopefully.
going. It's just consistency, mate. That's all it is, just consistency.
Yeah.
Keep going, keep doing what you can do. And like I say, the setting up the interviews bit is always the hardest part. But once you get them, then it sounds like back to the point of what you made about like the time sensitive stuff as well. That is like one of the biggest struggles, and that's also one of the probably the biggest struggles of hitting the views that you would like to see from doing those kind of interviews as well. And having that podcast is you might not get them depending on what's going on at that time. Yeah, you know I mean, so
yeah,
it's always a time sensitive aspect, but a bit of advice on that one is have the interviews where you're just wanting to get to know people, and then you can drop them whenever. And then the time sensitive ones, obviously they might be, I'm recording this on Monday, this one's getting dropped on Friday because it's fight week and this dude's fighting, you know, like whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So that's always how I look at things, of what's going on in that timeline, and do I just want to sit down and have a conversation with this guy? Like I interviewed Daniel Strauss, obviously Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, also a commentator at Cage Warriors, and that wasn't time sensitive. So that one I could put in the back burner and be like, well, I've got that one there, and that can go out. He was writing a book. He was telling me about that, and his book was being released, wasn't getting released for several weeks. So I was like, I've got plenty of time. That one can sit there. And then I focused on other ones that are around that time. So have you done any other piece, like, so obviously since you started doing the interview stuff and you started sitting down with the boys, have you been getting into the editing more? Because I know obviously you guys kind of split off. So is it Sai does the shorts and things? JK
so Ash does a lot of like the behind the scenes editing shorts, gets the clips out onto the social media platforms.
Yeah.
JK obviously does. I mean, JK, I don't know if the other guys look at it in the same way. I look at JK as kind of like almost the manager in a weird way. He's very like, right, we have our Monday meeting and we talk through stuff, and at the end he's always like, right, go, get on with it, and off you go. And he will leave you to it, but when it comes to like the Monday meeting stuff, he's very structured and organized. So when it comes to that, he's very not to the point. We have a bit of a chat about what's happened and stuff like that, but he definitely leads the dance on that aspect of stuff. Silas does some of the graphic stuff. He's also his job outside of this. He's got he started a startup, which might be interesting to get you involved in, because it's about like structured podcasts and stuff. It's like a software thing. But he's also a director. So when it comes to shooting stuff in person, he's really, really good, because he can get like, he's already got that kind of story thing in his mind where he'll go, right, this is a shot I want for this is a shot I want for this, and then he's really good at putting that together to produce whatever it is.
I have noticed that from his content on his Instagram or whatever else, like even that one of you going along on the terminal with your suitcase, bro, like that shit. I was wow, this is like a music video that has actually nailed it. Like it was wicked. The twirl of the suitcase, the and the cut of the camera angle, you going along the walking escalator thing. I was like,
that was all him. So yeah, Silas does like the graphic stuff, and then has got an eye for that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting to kind of have that dynamic. So JK is a technician. So those two, particularly having a technician and then someone that's got an eye for producing a story as such. We got some more little behind the scenes clips that he kind of orchestrated. So when we'll put them together, there'll be more kind of like that walking escalator one. So that's the dynamic. And then me, I'm just there
somewhere.
Yeah, I've got to give a shout out to T as well. T or Canadian Bacon, if you're ever in the streams. He does all of the graphics for the birthday posts, for the facts. Like he,
Oh shit! Right, okay. Because I was
yeah,
wondering who done all that. Because I was like, bro, you guys are out there wishing happy birthday to everybody every single day. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, is this dude on tap? I was like, which one of these guys is on Tapology every day, finding out whose
Yeah.
fighter's birthday it is?
So that's Taylor. He's Canadian and really, really, really nice guy. And then because of the time zone difference and stuff, sometimes we don't get to talk to him on the weekly calls and stuff. But yeah, he's still consistent and he's really, really good with it. I mean, he posted one with Tracy Cortez today and she reshared it and it's at like 500 likes and it's just really good kind of we need to capitalize on it more. But when the fighters share something like that or like something like that or leave a comment, like following them up to do some sort of content, it's a really good kind of in because they're like, oh, these guys, you know, they pay attention. And that's where the Din Thomas one come from, was that he reshared our Instagram post and someone messaged him and Din then come on and did an interview, and we've got some stuff potentially if he's at UFC London lined up to do with him as well. So just little things like that which seem tedious, but they do work long term.
Yeah, it's all about literally building the rapport, having the connection, and just networking as much as you can. That's the main thing that I've found out from doing this kind of stuff as well. So that is a wicked little way of doing it. So big shout out to the big friendly Canadian over there. You know what I mean? I never even knew that guy existed. He's like the man in the chair in the background, just doing all this like weird stuff with stats and birthdays.
yeah, and he's yeah, kudos to him. And then lastly, I've got to give him a special shout out. We've got Angus Jenkins, who is our editor / journalist, does lots of the articles that we put onto our website, and also is kind of our go-to guy. So if we get a press pass, he's usually the guy that'll go. He's 6'7",
bro.
Welsh.
was he at PFL Glasgow in September?
Was he? Yes, he was, because that was when Lewis McGrillen fought.
Yeah, Lewis McGrillen and Dean Garnett.
Yeah, and he complimented Lewis's mullet. Yeah, and then Lewis complimented his one. Yeah, he's massive,
bro. I've seen him. I was standing next to him. I was doing interviews side by side with this dude. And again, I'm not having a go at him. I was asking that guy questions and he jumped in the middle of me asking him questions to talk to him about the mullet. I was like, bro, like I'm in the middle of asking questions over here. You know what I mean? Like, dude totally cut me off. But now I was like, hang on, wait a minute. When I seen who it was, I was like, that guy's like 6'8" or some shit. You can have it, bro. Take your questions. Have your mullet. You know what I mean? Nah, it's cool. But yeah, seen him there. And then I seen you guys might have tagged him or something on Insta, maybe yesterday or today, whenever it was. And I was just like, I'm going to ask. I'm sure that was that same dude, because there's nobody out there with a mullet that's that tall that isn't going to be at these things, right? Sweet, man. So the team's even bigger than what publicly people see. Really, in the background.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. And I mean, the main thing that people probably know us for is for the watch-alongs on the weekend and then the breakdown show at the moment. But we're in the process of moving towards doing more. So Angus will definitely be more involved. He already does stuff with like for himself, but he does stuff. He went to Qatar to Misfits with Salt Pappy and was doing media stuff. So like he's been around it. He's doing it quite a lot. So when we finally, we've basically been given exclusively. We've basically been given press access for UFC. They've said that they'll trial us with one person to go in and kind of see how we work. So he's going to go to UFC London and be the media for us, basically.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Slowly getting there.
That's it, mate. Because honestly, that's like meant to be the hardest one to be able to get into. You know what I mean, to actually sit down and apply for it and get approval from those guys is meant to be absolutely solid. So I was looking at applying for the Cage Warriors one myself, because that's on the Friday. And then I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try for UFC one. Whether it'll be approved or not will be yet to find out. You know what I mean? But we'll wait and see how it goes. Probably won't, but it's worth a try in it. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth a try, because if I can get that for the Friday and then do that on the Saturday, that'll just be a wicked weekend of going down and just making some content and interviewing some fighters. If you can
orchestrate it so it works for you, the small fight nights which go abroad. So we got not
Eight,
Macau recently, the Macau before. We got approved for that.
Yeah.
But because we were firing them out for absolutely anything just to kind of get their attention more than anything else. And then it kind of come, and then we were like, can we really afford to go to China? It's like, nah, not really.
I know. Well, that was going to lead me to the next question for you as well. Was like, so obviously it feels like it's a single man's game sometimes. Like, so from the point of view of being with your partner, having a job, having 2 kids, being, you know what I mean? Like your main role in life is dad. You know what I mean? Like, how do you find that transition, as well as the time management and the amount that you're actually able to like commit to doing these things, and how do you find that change since you've started doing these things? And do you feel like there's more you could be doing, or do you feel like you're juggling too many balls at once?
I think for me personally, I always feel like there's more that I could be doing. My partner, bless her, has been absolutely fantastic. Like I previously, so there's some things I've stopped doing. Like I used to train jiu-jitsu, that's had to be shelved. And I was doing like rock climbing and stuff like that, like little hobbies for myself. Those have had to be shelved. And instead I'm doing stuff with ATF and the podcast. But I can be away a lot of the time for work just because of the job that I do. I might have to do a night or 2 away. And then on top of that now, like for example, Dubai last week, we then did a watch along in October at Angus's house in Wales, and I was away for like 3 nights then. And then just supporting the guys. So like Sai had his first boxing match at the end of October. I was away in Kingston in London for that. And it's like those small little things, and the more they happen, the more it feels like I'm away, if that makes sense. So bless her, she's been really, really good and supportive. But I've always been I've always felt like I want something more. I want to progress in something. I don't want a 9-to-5 job, and I want, and I could potentially structure something that I want to do as a 9-to-5 job. But there's swings and roundabouts, and unfortunately, I think, as harsh as it sounds, sometimes there's got to be sacrifices, and it's finding someone that's willing to get aboard that train with you and take the journey, and you hear it a lot sometimes. People, and it sounds bad, but like if someone doesn't support it, then I think you have to sit down and reflect and go, right, so what's happening? Either I give up on my dreams or give up on this thing that I really want to do, and then I go back to whatever, or you've got to find some middle ground, or
worst case scenario. I know it's always a funny situation. As like I say, sometimes it can feel like it's a single man's game, because it feels like if you're not trying to get ahead, you're going to fall behind. You know what I mean? Like if you're not constantly looking, and like, especially with something that's so fast moving and so fast paced, like MMA, or within the combat sports world in general. You know what I mean? Like if you're not on it and you're not jumping onto that next thing, if you're not on social media and you're not picking up on whatever's going on in the world and you miss it, 5 hours have passed, it's dead news. You know what I mean? Nobody cares anymore, because something else is coming around the corner, and you just need to be the one thing that and again, my missus is very, very supportive, same as what I've gone away and done, like media weekends and stuff like Birmingham, Newcastle, Manchester, Glasgow. Like she supported it all. Like every single one of them I've gone on, she's been great. But one thing that I always get moaned at is, you're always on your phone. And I'm like, and I try, like if I'm sitting with a kid or with the kids, but I always say kids. I need to get used to saying kids. Coming up 4 weeks, having 2 of them now. So sitting with the kids, my time's with them. Yeah, I mean, but what I need to get better at is being more productive with my time at night, or whenever it is that I've got that hour, is going, boom, right, let's get these graphics made. What, again, like I'm not a team, I'm just myself. So it's just like, how do you capitalize on those moments? But it's being a dad, and like you say, work, like actual normal work, it's just like, goddamn. But you're right, sometimes sacrifices need to be made, and people need to be on board with it if it's something that you're interested in, that you want to go and do. Yeah, I mean, like it's not it's not something that you're going to just stop doing. And if you do stop doing it, you're probably going to be a fucking miserable bastard walking around the house all day. Yeah,
I mean, I think to a certain level, you genuinely do have to be obsessed. And to start off with, you might not have enough to fill that obsession. So you might feel like, oh, could I be doing more? And you might be doing too much just for the sake of doing something. But over time, when other opportunities come up, and I think you've got to try and just say yes to them and work out how that then fits in longer term. But yeah, I think there's always going to be someone working harder than you, and that's kind of my thing where I'm like, could I be doing more? Someone else is probably doing more, right? And you're not always. And if anyone ever told me that they're always motivated, I'd call bullshit. I don't believe that at all. You're gonna go through kind of peaks and troughs and ups and downs, but as long as you've got a goal and an end destination, or I mean, I'm quite big about the kind of whole visualization. That sounds weird, manifestation kind of.
No,
I mean,
not at all, mate. Not at all. Like it really
like...
is. It really is, though. That's what people don't understand. Like if you believe that you're going to do something, it's going to happen. Like you really need to be like, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm doing. You go forward and start working towards it, and it happens. And it happens time and time and time again. It's always that you want to do something, do it. It's not if you want to do something, let's talk about it for fucking 10 months and then not actually go and do it, because it's never going to happen, is it? Like manifestation, in a sense of the word, is real. It works.
But
and it's all down to your drive.
I watch a lot of I listen to a lot of like kind of the motivational like kind of edits that they put together, and if there's a sport to be behind that kind of ideology, it's UFC. Because like when I listen to these things, it's always like Conor McGregor, John Jones, Dana White. It's all of those people usually that they've clipped out what they're saying and then made a montage out of it. And I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking for like something like Law of Attraction or whatever. And it's just interesting to see that they align. It's like almost it's fallen in the right place. That's weird.
I know. I mean, if you think back to maybe 6 months ago, did you ever think you'd be sitting interviewing John Gooden or any of the people that you've interviewed so far? You know what I mean? Or that you're aiming to interview in the future that you might already have lined up or whatever. Like without that, like you say, law of attraction, or without that manifestation of this is what I'm going to do. This is my roadmap. This is how I'm going to do it. This is my next steps. And you sit and you reflect and you go, this is what I did. This is what I enjoyed. This is what I was shit at. How do I get better? Boom, boom, boom. Look at other people around you. Right. This is what they're doing. How can I make that me? How can I make that mine and go forward with that? Like that's everything that's in it. And anyway, we've spent 34 minutes talking about this journey so far of the podcast and how you've evolved moving into the role and things. But great chat on that. You mentioned a second ago. I know. Yeah. You mentioned a second ago. I can't start calling you the rambling dad. Opportunities when they arise. So let's get on to the opportunity that I invited you here to talk about. So CFN, Crypto Fight Night. Is that what it is?
It is. Yeah.
Right. So we spoke about the video of going through the airport. If people, whoever's listening to this, you ain't seen it, get onto Breezy's Instagram. Go and check it out. It's absolutely phenomenal. I was laughing my head off when I was watching it, bro. So let's start at the beginning. I thought you were going in and just cornering your man. I thought your boy Sai was going out there. I thought you were going, maybe doing some content for him, maybe filming some stuff, maybe doing the background bits. Genuinely, and I don't think anybody knew you were going out there to fight, maybe except from people in your close circle. So how did you get asked in the first place?
So that was the plan. Sai was going out to fight a guy called Crypto Charizard. So for those people that don't know, Crypto Fight Night is just basically it's centered around really massive. It's an influencer boxing card, which is centered around guys that are massive in crypto. So Silas was going out to fight this guy called Crypto Charizard. He come out and he asked me if I wanted to corner him, and I said, yeah, right, book the holiday, everything fantastic. And then Angus, who's our editor, who's also the matchmaker, put a post out saying that they had a dropout and then they needed someone at 85 kilos. I weighed myself fully clothed, which I hadn't thought about at the time, and I was 84.5 kilos. And I sent a picture to Angus. I said, sign me up. I was actually at my sister-in-law's, so my niece's first birthday party whilst I was doing this, and I was speaking to my stepdad, like laughing about it, having a joke, not thinking I'd get accepted because I'd never boxed before. And I basically didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I was expecting them to go, this guy, he's not got loads of followers. He's not a boxer. No. Angus come back to me about an hour later, said, "You're on."
And that's when your balls dropped. You were like, shit.
I went, oh shit, okay. But I didn't get too excited because I was like, something's going to go wrong, whatever. And then I think about 2 days later, I got a contract through. I signed the contract, and it wasn't really until I actually got there. We've flown there. I was like, okay, it's kind of happening. And then I did my first training session with Silas, and I went, shit, what have I done?
What have I signed? Did you know your opponent at that point?
So it had his name in the contract, and I did Google, and that was another moment where I went, oh shit, because he's, for those that don't know, his name's Oliver Forslin. Check him out on Instagram and you'll have probably the same reaction I did. He's an absolutely massive Swedish bodybuilder. And the whole
dude is
week
a fucking unit. I was just like, because I was like, oh yeah, sweet, Breezy's going for a fight. Let's have a look at the dude that he's coming up against. I was like, shit, this dude's juiced to the gunnels, bro.
Well, I said to Angus, I said, how the hell is that guy making the same weight as me? Like, I couldn't quite, but fair play to him, he did. So, yeah, I mean, I was underweight to the point where I drank 2 liters of water that morning to make weight.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible.
And I walked into the room for the weigh-ins, and there's some medical people there doing that kind of checks on people, and one of the doctors was like prodding someone's stomach like really firmly, and I was like, don't do that to me because I will throw up on you.
I will piss. Oh, you'll piss my pants or spew on you. Oh, Jesus Christ. So were you 85 key then? Bang on.
I weighed in the end. Oh yeah, I was really annoyed because so the scale was in my room. So we had scales in the room, and I was keeping track of my weight. I landed on the Tuesday. I was 81 kilos. I was like, right, I'm just gonna have to eat loads of stuff. The morning of, I was like 83 kilos and concerned. No, it might have been a little bit less than that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that's why I nicked loads of water, because it was 85 plus 1 minus 1. So I was like, if I can just get to 84, happy days. Yeah. I was on the scales and I was 84.2, and I was like, great. I went upstairs to weigh on. I stood on the scales and I was 86. And I was fuming because I wouldn't have had to have drunk so much fucking water.
I know, yeah, you'd have been bang on. You'd have been sounds like, at least the fight. So that was on the Friday, was it?
Yeah, that was on, no, that was on the Thursday.
And the fight was on the Friday.
Yeah, I think when I went into the fight, I weighed actually probably about 82.5.
Right.
Yeah,
just your normal walk around weight at that point. Yeah,
and he was probably like 88 or something.
I remember when I was talking to Arnold Allen, and he was talking about scales, saying how different they can be in your room compared to what they are. It was like, I can't remember who we were talking about, and I was like, this dude like either missed weight or something. Can't remember what it was, and he was just like, yeah, some scales are fucking dog shit. And it was like, and then you had to get on some like, a decent set of scales, and it was like, and they're bang on to the point, and it's just like, oh shit, you can either be well off or well under. You know what I mean? It's funny because obviously during a weight cut, most people are trying to cut those last bits of water, whereas you piling water into yourself just so you can make weight. That's absolutely incredible, mate. So obviously that came through then 2 days. That's a wild way of just like going, do you know what? Fire me in there, mate. And hats off to you for just jumping in and doing that, especially like you say when you go and YouTube, go and Google your opponent to see that he's a massive Swedish bodybuilder that probably is on the juice. You know what I mean? Looking at the guy, like, I don't know if they do any testing. He might not have been on. He wasn't as shredded for the fight as what he looks in some of his images on his bodybuilding stuff. So
yeah, so supposedly he come off of that 6 months ago.
Right, okay.
But there were certain things about him when I did the face off where I was like, I'm not entirely sure if you're completely clean, but yeah.
Well, that was me going to be leading on to that next. So obviously, have you ever attended an event as media?
No, never.
Being in the backstage area of any like event like fight night or anything like that. No. So obviously, like, so I've been and done it as media, so I've seen how things run. So I was going to say to you, how different was it being on the other side of that? But at the same time, like, how did it feel being on that side of that anyway? Like, regardless of not experiencing it before, like walking in there and seeing how everything runs in the background from the production to the weigh-ins, and then like getting towards the fight night, and obviously did I take it they had a small training area in the back where you could stand and throw some hands and shadow box or whatever before you fight?
Yeah, so kudos to CFN because their production value is really, really good for something that's not like huge, like the kind of misfits level of influencer boxing. They've invested a hell of a lot into kind of making it as smooth as possible, and they've got a good team there. The changing room we had was like 3 tables in one room, and there was no space in there to hit pads at all. It was literally like your team and you could sit in there, whatever, and then you'd have to go outside slightly, and there was a massive kind of long corridor area, and you could hit some pads there. Funny story, obviously I was shit, couldn't hit pads really to save my life. I had my hands wrapped by this Filipino guy. Really, really nice guy. So he wrapped my hands, and he was like, right, here's some pads. We hadn't taken any gloves, we hadn't taken any pads. It was for our end. There's a lot of learning to do. But
Amateur hour.
Yeah. This guy was like, just give me a basic 1-2, 1-2, whatever. He was laughing because of how shit I was. The guy that he was with was also laughing at me because of how shit I was.
Shit.
Turns out this bloke that had wrapped my hands and was getting me to hit pads was the #1 Filipino at welterweight.
No way.
Yeah.
And did the brother even go, right, this is what you really want to be doing?
Yeah. He was lovely. I got him on Instagram now.
Right,
real nice guy. But when he said that, and then he showed me on Tapology his thing, and I was like, okay, now I know why you're laughing at me.
Yeah, and that's fine. You laugh all you want, brother. Like,
yeah, 100%.
That's incredible. So you had literally never trained any striking or anything before, like jumping in to do this. I know you mentioned before BJJ, but other than that,
yeah. So I've done a bit of judo and I've done a bit of jiu-jitsu, but no stand-up striking whatsoever.
Wow.
I just thought it'd
Street
be a bit of banter. Yeah,
just go and get it done. Like, it's I mean, someone's called you out after school and that's it. I'm just going to go down and throw hands. Obviously, we were talking a little bit in the on Instagram, and you were just saying about like you done some cardio training. You never expected a fight to take it out of you as much as it did from running a marathon or going on a 10K run or whatever. Yeah, I mean, like how. So obviously, what day did you fly out there?
So we flew. We left Heathrow at 10 o'clock at night, and we landed in Dubai at 9 o'clock in the morning. On the Tuesday.
Right. Okay.
We then from there, obviously, we didn't really know what we were doing when we got to the other side. So we got the metro from the airport to the Burj Khalifa because our hotel we thought wasn't very far away. We then had to walk from the tram or the metro to Dubai Mall, which was actually like 2 miles.
Yeah.
It was red hot. Slept like shit on the plane. Then had to get from Dubai Mall over to the hotel. Silas, then there's this underpass, and then the hotel is actually on the front section. And I said to Silas, do we go around the front or the back? And he was like, let's go around the back. Went around the back. Obviously realized we couldn't get through. Had to walk all the way around. Silas's wheels on his suitcase melted because it was that hot. So he's dragging his suitcase in like the weirdest way possible. We then got to the hotel. We checked in. We had to go straight for a photo shoot. No, he had to go have his blood done. So, and then we went to a photo shoot, and it was just like the most mental day. And it was
That's chaos. That is absolute chaos. It was so hot the wheels melted off.
Yeah, he had to buy a new suitcase. It was that bad.
No way, man. Mate, like, so, and that was Tuesday. You got there Tuesday morning, then you had to go and experience that, and then obviously get there, get the lowdown on how everything went. You were weighing in on the Thursday. So Tuesday evening into Wednesday, I take it, were the only 2 days that you maybe had any time to sit and start thinking, mentally preparing for one, as well as any kind of physical. Because I know Sai, obviously, you said he's had his debut was in October for his boxing fight. He's 2-0 now, isn't he? So he is clearly training. He's done some training. He is good. Man. I watched both of your fights on YouTube. Like, so, what pointers was he giving you? I mean, I like Sai's footwork, I like his head work, man. Especially going up against that Charizard dude, like the taller bloke, and he was getting on the inside and he was just doing the damage, bro. And he was going for the body shots. Man,
Yeah,
big up Sai, bro. Like you done really, really well.
he so I didn't really take much damage in the fight. I actually did more damage to myself training with Silas than I did in the fight. So Silas, he took me through the basic 1-2 jab, and then jab slip, jab parry, jab whatever. And then what we were training in a Hail Mary, which was just gonna, and I was doing it all fight. It was literally the only thing I was trying to land was an overhand right the whole time. But
you clipped him at one point.
Yeah. I think Ant Cruller, who was on the he was on the broadcast team, was like, he's having some success with the overhand right. I was like, because it's the only thing I've been practicing all fucking week.
Standing in your room just throwing overhand rights for the last 3 days.
Yeah, but because I didn't really know what I was doing when we were training on the first day, they had a big hanging punching bag, and I had thrown. Silas was like showing me the technique and that, and we were getting used to it. And I threw like an overhand right from hell, and I like put everything into it. I stepped in, and I was coming over, and for some reason, as I punched, I went like that.
Oh no, you didn't.
Yeah, and I was in so much pain. And my hand, I don't know if you can see it, my hand's a bit green.
Still a bit swollen.
And then I mean, this one's absolutely fine. It swelled right up. And that was the worst injury I got of the week. So Swedish bodybuilder did less damage to me than myself. So that's a decent takeaway for myself, I think.
You can't go wrong with that.
But it was so short notice. Realistically, I didn't have enough time to do anything that was gonna make a big difference.
Not really on 3 days' notice, because I went back and I looked through. Sorry, what was your opponent's name again?
Oliver Foreskin.
Oh, that was it. Foreskin. So I went back through Oliver's account and I was like, right. So obviously he's a bodybuilder. How much has this dude been training for this boxing fight too? Because obviously he must have had a different opponent set. And I went back and you can see he has been doing some training. And I was like, right, this guy has had several weeks of training here of going for a boxing fight. And you got Breezy coming off the couch, quite literally coming off the couch, getting on a flight and walking to a hotel and going, right, let's throw down. Yeah, I mean, like,
for the dad bods.
Incredible. Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to say when you're in that ring, the comparison of like, I mean, mean muscle compared to dad bod. I was back in the dad bod all the way. I was like, come on, son, because you even said to me, oh yeah, I think I need to lose a little bit of weight. And I was looking at you going, fuck mate, my belly would be flying around a bit more than what yours was anyway. I tell you that titties are bigger. I wouldn't have needed to drink that much water because my titties would have been about 2 kilograms. Yeah, I mean, like it would have been sound. Oh shit. So obviously right then we got to the weigh-ins. We got to the weigh-ins, mate. I'm glad I seen your face and that camera angle before I seen it on the other side, because obviously Twitter had one version of them and then Insta had the other one. And like seeing your face and your I was like, what is this guy doing to him? Because you were just going, fucking what? Like dickhead.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
So how was that for you, bro? How was the experience on that one?
I mean, I was like, you can't see it, but so down the right hand side were all the fighters. And then in the background there people there was like spectators, there were people there watching, and Oliver had brought quite a big group of people with him. And they were cheering him and all this stuff. So, and I'd never done anything like this before, so I was quite nervous walking out. But Angus was on the stage and I looked at him and he was like, just slow down, take your time. So I walked out, I did me, and I'm not about the kind of like that's not me at all. So I did all that stuff, and then he walked on, and I mean the bloke is big, but he was just doing just the weirdest stuff with his mouth, like looking at me. He was obviously trying to intimidate me, but like I don't like, unless it was like a heavyweight. I genuinely don't think I'd be scared of anyone. Like if you're weighing in at the same weight as me, whatever. I really don't care. And obviously, then he went like that, trying to make me flinch, and then I was just like, "What? What are you doing?"
I know, yeah. What?
And then what you don't see is when we walk off, he tried to square up to me again, and then security had to separate us.
Really?
Yeah. He's obviously hadn't got to me and tried to like get to me again, and I was just like, "Mate, just fuck off."
And what was he saying?
He wasn't saying anything. He just got in my face again, like back on stage. Look, so I walked off in front of him. I stopped because Silas is at the top end.
Yeah.
And then as he walked past me, I was looking at him, and he went to get up in my face. And then these two guys had to separate us. I was so there's a swimming pool. There was a pool right there. I was so tempted to throw him in the pool. I was so tempted to throw him in the pool.
That would have been incredible. That would have been fucking phenomenal if you'd done that and Sai caught it. Right, so obviously, boom, weigh-ins are done, and you're flying in towards fight night now. You get there on the Friday. How are the emotions? How are you feeling now that it was obviously right? Boom, I'm fighting this dude. He's come at me after the weigh-ins. He's tried to flex at me during the weigh-ins, but he's had absolutely no luck. You're walking into this fight night, and I think you put on Instagram, first time you had your hands wrapped, first time you put the gloves on. Obviously, we kind of touched on the hand wrapping before and things too. But how was that entire experience, and what were the nerves like going into it? Because obviously, I seen you got interviewed before your fight too, and you were just like, yeah, well, nothing more to say now, is there? You know what I mean? Like, the gloves are on and that's it. We're going.
Yeah, I mean, so kudos to Silas. So Angus manages not Logan Paul, the guy that was in the BBC interview, who faced off with basically a lookalike for Andrew Tate at the event. Andrew, not Logan Paul, his real name is Rodney, is such a nice guy. Like, honestly, he was fantastic. We set up in the morning just to kind of stop like dwelling on what's going to happen later, to sit down and do an interview with him. So what we didn't know is that he's got 25 MMA fights under his belt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we were like, well, that's perfect with the MMA channel. So the morning was completely distracted by setting up for that, sitting down, talking to him, and then we went to get the taxi over, and Ant Crawler was waiting for a taxi as well. So he jumped in the taxi with us. We spent about 20 minutes over there, over towards the venue, just talking to him about Brendan Lukway, I can never say his surname properly. Loughran, that's it. Lewis McGrillen, who's that girl as well? I wish mess her name up.
Achiever.
That's the one. And just talk about those, and it just completely took my mind away from what was actually going to happen. So shout out to Ant, really nice guy. We get there, and it's game on. But thankfully, we had Sai's fight first, so it was all about just getting Sai ready. Sai was hitting some pads, then I went out, did Sai's fight, come back, and then at that point, I think I kind of got over it. I was ready for it at that point. I wasn't nervous anymore, and it was just, I was just like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. This is the experience I wanted, hence why I've said yes to do it in the first place. And it was better than I could have imagined, to be honest. I mean, I had no pride going into this whatsoever. So whether I won, lost, or whatever, that didn't faze me at all. It was just a shame that the guy had a really good body shot.
And they hit different. Somebody that's never received a body shot before in their life, you don't realize what that actually does to you. Like, your body can just shut down when you receive a really good body shot, especially the way he circled round and kind of dug in, and he came right in at the side. You know what I mean? Like, went for the leather kidney shot areas. It was just like, God damn, like, you could feel that one through you, especially rocking up there with a dad bod too. You know what I mean? That's just absorbing that entire fist and glove. Like, it's not even going to stop anything from going through. But now, like, you went out and you done quite well for yourself, to be fair, mate. Like you say, if you could see that you never went in there with an ego, or, like you say, like, too much pride of, I really care if I win or lose this fight. Like, you were in it for the experience, you were in it for the opportunity, and it got your name out there, it got your face out there, and you've networked to some brilliant people from the sounds of it too. So if we just skip back a little bit, back to Sai's fight. Obviously, you literally went from being a cornerman to a fighter. Like, you went from being from a podcaster interviewer to shit. I'm gonna go and fight on some influencer boxing night card. I was like, what the hell's going on here? To, oh wait, now I'm a cornerman for 15 minutes or whatever. Then I've got my own fight to go and think about as well. So between rounds of Sai's fight, was there any kind of imposter syndrome or anything whilst you're in there of, what do I actually say to this dude? Like, and it's your mate, you've known each other for years. Was it just that you're doing really well, or through your experience of watching MMA and watching combat sports, were you able to go, right, that's really working. But if you actually just step around and do this instead, or he's dropping his hand whenever he's stepping forward to do it. Did you have any kind of insight that you've been able to pick up from any of this that you were able to give to him in between the rounds?
I wish I could say yes. I basically said, I was basically saying, like, how do you feel? Are you comfortable? Are you happy? Obviously, giving him fluid, stuff like that. He knew what he was doing when he got in there, which made it a lot easier for me. It's not like he was coming up against a guy who's like a proper professional, got a lot of technique. A lot of these guys have just got the same thing over and over and over. And Crypto Charizard thing was kind of a lot of high output, all up in the top section. Sai was utilizing to go into the body. He was utilizing moving his feet and stuff like that. So as far as I was concerned, watching him, I thought he was doing everything right. We had an idea, but we didn't do it in the end because there's this woman that come up and she stood like right on the thing next to you. You know, Volkov got his hair done. I had an Afro comb in my pocket, and I was waiting for his moment to like do his hair and like pat it down, but she scared me, the woman. I was like, so yeah, we were there just to produce some like content and clips and just have a laugh. I was never gonna say. I was never in a position to be able to say to him, look, do this, do that. It's just, you know, I'd had 2 days training.
Yeah. I mean, even at that though, I mean, if you notice something that he might not be spotting, I mean, he probably is spotting it, but again, like there's so much going on, like, and we'll get onto this in your own fight in a second, of when you've been watching these fights, there's so much going on. You don't actually realize how much is going on until you're in there, like how much input, how much data is coming at you all at once, and how much you're trying to download of everything that's going on. So there could have been something that you could have noticed that you would have been able to say to him that I don't think he would have been like, shut up, Breezy, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? He would have just been like, right, sweet, cheers. And he probably would have taken it on board. But wicked, mate. Like going from a cornerman into a fighter in the same night is absolutely insane for somebody that's never done it. So let's move on up then. So Sai got the win. How did that make you feel? That made you feel, right, sweet, let's go. Like I'm ready for gonna go and do this fight. And you must have had the good vibes from him getting the W to go ahead to your own fight.
Yeah, I take full credit for his win because, you know, the corner advice was so good. No, I was really, obviously really happy for him. What actually happened though is that they ended up overturning the decision to a draw.
No way.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so
When
he
did
won the
this
fight.
happen?
It was soon after. So the guy he fought disappeared. No one knew where he went. And then the guys have spoken. Gareth A. Davis spoke to us afterwards, and he did say he also thought it was a draw. I watched it back. I actually think Crypto Charizard did do better than I first initially gave him credit for. So I don't think either of us, when we watched it. So when we got back to the hotel, we watched it. When we watched it back, I think we were fairly comfortable that actually a draw is a fairly fair decision. Right. Obviously disappointed that he no longer had the win to take away from him, but it was also an exhibition fight, so it's not going to go on his record.
Right.
It was,
okay.
You know, we got flown out to Dubai, we got paid. Like, at the end of the day, the connections we made in that were whatever. But anyway, going back to answer your question, the thing is, I trained with Silas in the week, and I could already tell that he was quite good, just from the kind of like little kind of not sparring we'd done, but some of the kind of flow, kind of shadow boxing with each other, and kind of just get a feel for movement and stuff like that. So I think I kind of set his bar so much higher than mine that it wasn't really a realistic expectation. So by the time it went for me going in there, I just had what he'd already taught me, which was a 1-2 and an overhand right, and I was happy with that, if that makes sense. I mean, the guy was a bodybuilder. I was expecting him to gas pretty quick, but not me gas quicker than he did, which is what happened. But yeah, I seriously did underestimate the cardio you need for that, by the way. Like, it was tough. I think it was the first minute and we both were like blowing out our ass. So reflecting on it, watched it back, had a great time. He got me with a great body shot at the end of the first round. Obviously got up from that fine. And it really early, and I looked like an absolute knob. I don't know if you could see it on the broadcast, but basically he threw an uppercut from Hal, and he falling like that, and I'd gone like that to take the piss to see where it had gone. and then I was laughing, and then he ducked me in the body and then punched me in the face and knocked me down.
Celebrated too early a little bit there and just got caught. Oh,
Yeah.
mate. Well, I was actually going to bring up that dig at the end of the first round that like, put you down as well. Like that was a body shot as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just,
Caught,
I don't know what I was
was
doing.
going through your head?
I don't know. I'd like kind of. I think he slightly clipped me with a left,
Yeah.
and I'd kind of moved down to the side, and then he come around and dug me to the body. Obviously, I hadn't taken a body shot of any sort ever really, so it came as a bit of a surprise. I went down, took a standing 8, and got back up, and I was fine. But yeah, the one in the second round was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And I stayed down, so he knocked me down. I was led on my back. You can see this on the broadcast. I started clapping.
Yeah, seen that.
Like nice shot, fair play.
Yeah.
And I didn't get up, not because I wasn't that. I could have got up. I was fine. It was more the fact that I was so tired that I thought to myself in that moment, with the power that he's got and he's still putting out, if I got up, I think he could have seriously hurt me. And it was more of a, I've got no pride. I've come here to do what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
I'm happy to call it here,
I'm done.
and not get seriously injured. So I took the count. I was more than happy with that. I said I'd do one round. I've done one round. Happy days.
What was going through your head at the end of that round when he did drop you though in those 8 seconds where you're like, fuck, do I stay down? Or was it going through your mind, right, come on, you've got 10 seconds there, get up, keep breathing, keep going, you can do it?
Yeah, I was always going to get up on that one. I mean, if it got me in the face, I probably wouldn't have. But
I love the honesty.
Yeah. I mean, he was a powerful kid, and like weight wise, there's a reason why they got weight classes, and realistically, I probably shouldn't have taken that fight. I just wasn't really expecting. I didn't really understand what I was getting myself into, but. Yeah, I was always going to get up to that one. I wanted to see out the first round. That was like my big goal, kind of stepping in there, was to step in against someone, and just do a round, see what it feels like, get the experience, see if I get the niggle, which I have. So there will be more to come. I don't know what.
No, that's it, mate. One of my next questions was going to be as well is that have you got the bug now? You know what I mean? Are you thinking, right, I'm going to go into training, I'm going to get my head down a bit, and I'm going to come back and I'll have another fight here and there, probably get into better shape. But now that you felt what a body shot feels like, now that you felt what it really feels like to get punched in the face, you know what I mean? It's time to learn how not to get punched in the face.
Exactly.
A little bit of head movement and footwork, you know what I mean? So are you signed up to the gym yet?
Well, I've been looking, so because where I live is like kind of in the middle of nowhere, so I've been trying to find a gym which, like, there's a lot of like boxing exercise type places, but obviously I want to do something properly, a proper gym. So I'm still looking around. I mean, I travel a lot for work, so that might help because I can experience a few different gyms, a few different trainers and stuff like that. But yeah, I've got 2 that I've bookmarked. I've got some basic stuff. I've started some cardio, just for some like S&C and just some general kind of conditioning. Because this is the thing that annoyed me the most, is that I genuinely think if I had any kind of gas tank, I could have beaten him. He wasn't that good at all. In fact, we were both terrible. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like if I could have moved more and could have kept on moving, and had control of my breathing better, I could have probably, towards the end of that second round into the third round, come back, and I reckon I would have beaten him. I mean, when he celebrated afterwards, he threw like the worst 1-2 to the camera that I've ever seen in my life, and I was just if I just had a gas tank. And I think that's what most of it comes down to, is I think most of these people, especially in influencer boxing, if you've got any sort of cardio, you can have a 1-2. And I think you can beat them. Genuinely, I think you can just jab, 1-2, move, jab.
Stick a
you know
move,
what I mean?
stick a move.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, the aim is smash the cardio, eat less burgers.
Well, maybe eat more burgers, mate, because you were underweight.
Wow. So I'm
eat more burgers and get ripped. I mean, maybe give Oliver a shout, see if he's got any juice on the side there.
The aim is at some point I'm gonna call him out again and do a
rematch.
Oliver Forsted, you took everything I ever worked for. You're taking food out of my family's mouth.
Yeah. So how was he after the fight with you? Was things civil, or was he still like arsehole-ish?
I mean, we were talking in it, and I was saying that he's got a friend that does like a lot of crypto stuff, and he's like massive. He's probably one of the biggest like crypto advisors in the world.
Right, okay.
But the Swedish are just fucking weirdos, and I'm not to be rude to them, but they're just a bit odd. Like he's got these fake teeth that looked a bit odd.
Right, okay.
And we had a nice chat, and we were like, duh, 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 but it was like it wasn't
Ego and fake.
Yeah, I was like, "What are you doing after this?" He's like, "Oh, I got 7 girls," and I was like, "Oh,
I've seen his interviews, and the girl said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm gonna go and do this, go and do that, and hopefully some women." And I was just like, "All right."
yeah." And I was
Straight
like,
away from looking at his Insta and seeing how he is in interviews, like, I know what this dude's like. He's all profile pictures and egotistical fucking steroid user. Cool beans.
yeah, which is why I would love to like give it a year. Give it a year. A CFN have got in April. They've got a card in Paris, and in July they've got a card in London. I'm gonna probably they've got one in Vegas in May, but I mean, as much as I'd love to do that, I think it's a bit too soon. I'd love to come in back in July on the London card. It's a local card. I'll probably have better success trying to get onto it and come back as like I've done some training. Let's see what I'm like really like now. And I think for me personally as well, I'd love to have a comparison photo between me stepping in the first time and then what I look like.
Oh, then yeah. That would be fantastic, mate. That would be fantastic.
And then I'll be like, I'm going home with.
I'm going home to my wife and kids.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It's just down the road this time, thankfully. So
yeah. My mum's gonna come and pick me up in 10 minutes.
Are we done? Mum's waiting outside. I need to.
I'm gonna be grounded if you don't let me get out of there anytime soon. But at least you know the matchmaker, mate. So you've definitely got the in there anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think you'll probably find it pretty easy. And I think you definitely, like we said before, networked in the right way. Like you've clearly made some friends from this. Yeah, I mean, you've clearly made some good connections through this. So I think your name's in there to go back and do it again. Like I say, a little bit of training, and God knows what you can go and do. And again, what like. And I think so. I watched the first podcast of obviously when you're interviewed against the Fence Boys. So I was never into combat sports prior to any of this, and then to see where he's at now, I mean, like, because they even spoke about that. Like, I had no knowledge of any of it when he started watching it. Couldn't really string a sentence together about it, and now he's about that life. Yeah, I mean, he's out there training and he's going to do it. Crazy the influence that this has had on Sai and the direction that it's took him in, but.
Yeah, Sai's also got the physique for it though. That's the thing. Like where I turn up with a dad body, he's got proper pectorials defined. He's got like a 6-pack. Like he
looks after himself. We don't need the brag.
yeah. If there was one guy we were going to send in first, I think it was always going to be him, just because he's got the image for it. I mean, me, JK, and Ash. I think fairly similar in terms of our build.
I don't know. I think you could probably put Ash into his own category too, but you and JK, I mean, we can stick you and JK on the dad bod side of things. Like, Ash is quite slim, but you and JK, I mean, I'll join you. We can be the Three Musketeers with the dad bod there, but don't underestimate us, folks. You know what I mean, this man's gonna be throwing hands before you know it.
And then Angus is 6'7" and absolutely huge. So trying to find him an opponent is it's difficult as it is.
Not as easy it is trying to find him in a crowd anyway, I'll tell you that.
It's like a lighthouse, isn't he? We're calling it the Big Burj week, like the Big Burj Khalifa. But yeah, if obviously I'll keep you posted if there's anything that comes up in terms of, I mean, any of us fighting on the CFN London card. It would be really cool if we could just get loads of people down there to support whoever it is.
Give me a shout. I'll try and come down. July.
July. Yeah, I haven't got an exact date, but sometime in July.
I wonder when it'll be, because obviously UFC kind of aim to come back to the UK in July as well. So I wonder if they're trying it.
If we get pay-per-view.
Yeah.
If we don't get pay-per-view, I think they'll just do the one.
Right.
event.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. Hopefully we get lucky again. I don't know. Do you reckon they did 2 fight nights?
They've done 2 fight nights before, haven't they? Yeah. I mean, there was 2 fight nights in London as well. So I think the pay-per-view reason then was the Manchester one was just a bit wild on it, but
That was just after COVID, wasn't it? When they done the 2 on the bounce.
Yeah. And I think it was because of how much March took off because it was the first one post-COVID.
Yeah. And everyone,
The place went wild.
yeah.
I think that was Paddy
Yeah.
the Baddy's debut and stuff as well. So it was just absolutely crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I reckon they'll come back here twice next year, March, and then July they'll probably look at going back to London again.
It would be nice. I just don't know, because obviously Dana wasn't a massive fan of the Manchester card, was he? And I don't know, unless you've got someone that's going to challenge for the title.
Yeah.
They're saying that Leon Edwards is going to main event the card coming up. I don't think Tom's going to fight in the UK this year. I think he's probably going to be over in the US. So we start to run out, unless they give Paddy a main card or Arnold Allen a headline, maybe.
I would go to all of them. I think Arnold Allen saying he's wanting Yair Rodriguez. I think it was on Hawani's podcast. Yeah,
that's a good fight. I like that one.
In London in March, actually. So that could easily be a co-main. Yeah, I mean, easily be a co-main fight.
Yeah, who have they announced Marcin Tybura today? They didn't they?
Oh, did they? I missed that.
Yeah,
I've not really been on too much today.
Was it Marcin Tybura? I feel like it was. I'm not entirely sure. They announced two of the fights today that are going to be on the London card.
I'll need to go and have a look at that after this, just to have a quick peek. I know Molly put up that she signed, so obviously she's going to be there. The talks of Paddy and who were they saying he was going to be fighting?
Not sure,
because people were thinking it was going to be Moicano. There's like, it's definitely not going to be Moicano because he's fighting Benny, isn't he?
Yeah, because they were saying Paddy versus Ben Wilson, didn't he, as well? So,
shit.
Something's going to happen. I think Paddy's fought once in the US now, hasn't he?
Yeah. Paddy will definitely. I thought Paddy would be headlining it. I didn't think they would have Leon headlining it, especially when you look at the division right now and who's you going to be headlining it with, and is anybody really going to be interested in that? Is it? Can't really be a contender. Yeah, I mean, like
they're saying Jack Della Maddalena, weren't they?
I suppose you could make that a contender.
Which is
the next, but yeah.
Which yes, sign me up. If those two both stand up, I think it'd be a great stand-up fight.
Yeah.
And I think Leon beats him, to be fair. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We're just waiting. I mean, it's going to sell out. Always sells out anyway, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, the UFC likes our money. Because we 100% spend it.
Yeah, every time, stupidly, even though they put the prices up all the time. So, right, mate, we've been doing this hour and 15 minutes now, so let's get this wrapped up. So, first of all, mate, I've said it to you already. Congratulations. Like, I know you didn't get the win, but well done for putting yourself out there, getting into a ring and doing what most people wouldn't even think about doing. A lot of people like to just sit on the side. They'll have an opinion. They'll talk about it. Yeah, I mean, this MMA space, MMA media is all quite opinionated, and that's basically what the content is. But you actually went out there, you lived the life, you did the bit of the training. You're now going to be looking at doing some more, and you're going to get back in there and do it again. There's some people that would take a body shot that go, fuck that, I'm out, I'm going home, sitting on my couch, eating me crisp and watching this shit from there. Yeah, I mean, I ain't doing that again. But like, you've got the bug, you're going to go back and do it again. So all the best for getting into training, finding your rhythm with it, and I hope you get to fucking snap the banjo and that foreskin again at some point in the fucking future. I'll tell you that. Not yours,
hopefully,
the Swedish one.
I was going to say, I've heard some stories about snapping a banjo, and I don't fancy it.
I don't think it's that nice. I've had a couple of friends that have gone down that path, and none of them have said that it was quite pleasant. Yeah, I mean, but yeah. So, what have you got in the pipeline outside of the fighting? Let's hear about the podcast stuff and let the people know what you've got coming.
I mean, just plugging away, trying to get the best guests possible. Obviously, it's very guest focused. We've got one coming up soon with Amy Kaplan. She talks a little bit about the whole MMA guru situation, so that's quite an interesting one that's coming up. Yeah. She talks about some stuff that she said herself that she's never spoke to people about before, which is some like kind of personal stuff that she's interested in. We've got John Gooden lined up, which will come out maybe Christmas special, and then we've got a few people that we're working on, which are fighters, which they'll probably be in the new year now. But yeah, just trying to find the most interesting people with some really cool stories that we can kind of navigate together and just produce content for you guys to enjoy. The ATF main channel, they've got their yearly predictions coming up. They've got MVP of the year coming up, so stay tuned for Christmas time.
YouTube at the bottom, people, against the fence. Make sure you're following that.
Thank you very much. And then, yeah, I mean, look, 2024 is almost over. Looking at 2025, this year's been really, really good. And hopefully we have a bigger and better year next year. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's it, bro. So obviously I've got down there at the bottom, people, as well. Insta, BreezyChats, Twitter at BreezyChats. Not the Chris Brown, BreezyChats. It's all good. I actually said that's the message I'm interviewing Breezy later. She goes, what, Chris Brown? I was like, no. She was like, what's his name? I was like, Chris Brown.
Professional wife beater.
Yeah, shut up. Yeah, I mean, no, definitely not. Definitely not. Sweet. Definitely right, not. Bro. So I'll probably end up dropping this week, maybe even early next week. Yeah, I mean, I need the content. I've not got much in the back burner there, given that we had another kid 4 weeks ago. I've not had much time to get any of it done, so this will get dropped pretty swiftly. But I'm sure we'll talk on socials, but if not, you and the family have a great Christmas, bro, and
you too.
Happy New Year and all the rest of that. I hope the big man's good to you. Hope he brings you something nice, maybe some new boxing gloves and a couple of pads so you can go and practice. And yeah, make sure you're following this man. Make sure you're checking out his YouTube. Make sure you're checking out all the interviews that he's going to be dropping that's coming up. And thanks for your time tonight, mate. Cheers for dropping it back. Obviously, I'm going to edit bits out, but there's going to be some pauses in there that some people aren't going to know about that I've had to go and deal with daddy duty stuff. But it's all good. It's all gravy. We got there in the end. So appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you.